Penni Feiner and Dr. Minal Vazirani. Dr. Vazirani serves as the medical director of the Siegler Center for Integrative Medicine at the Barnabas Health Ambulatory Care Center in Livingston, New Jersey. She is triple board certified, internal medicine, pediatrics, and integrative holistic medicine. She is versed in Ayurveda, meditation, homeopathy, and functional medicine. She is the recipient of numerous medical awards given for patient care and patient satisfaction. So I'm going to have Dr. Vazirani come on stage, and then she's going to introduce Penni Feiner.
Right. I know we are the only two standing between you and those snacks, so we will do our best to keep you very engaged and entertained, and hopefully you learn something. All right. So our topic today is RX, connecting with your consciousness, and hospital systems and how they're integrating yoga into mainstream medicine. And as Puneet already told us, this is actually a very perfect day for this conference because it is the first International Day of Yoga. The United Nations passed a resolution a year ago after our Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was elected, and they proposed to choose June 21st as International Yoga Day, actually for a very interesting reason. So today is the summer solstice, and it is the longest day of the year. And it's when the Earth is actually closest to the sun in its orbit. And so from a yogic perspective, the summer solstice actually marks the transition of the sun from Uttarayana to Dakshinayana. And that's according to the Vedic calendar. And this was actually traditionally the day when Lord Shiva first taught yoga to his disciples. So today is yoga's birthday. So, and happy Father's Day. All right. So now, how many of you have ever felt like that cat in your life? At work, at home, anywhere else? All right. So we wear a lot of hats in our life. Whether it's getting the kids off to school, rushing to work in traffic, coming home and cooking a meal, dealing with laptop emergencies. So we're dealing with more stress than we've ever had to deal with before. And unfortunately, times have changed. We don't go to bed when the sun sets and unwind for the day as we did 200 years ago. We have the lights and all our electronic gadgets, our iPads and iPhones and laptops to keep us busy into the wee hours of the night. So we have also changed and evolved through the years. But one thing that has not changed is our connection to our source, our connection to the divine. And in fact, it's more important than ever for us to be connected to our source. All right, interactive time. How many of you have an iPhone or iPad with you today? All right, and at home? Virtually everyone. Okay, so how many of you connect to Wi-Fi? Almost everyone. So you connect to that source, right? So do you know how connecting to that source works exactly? No, neither do I. But we know it works, and we need our Wi-Fi to save our data plans, and we need to connect. So similarly, let's talk about connecting to a bigger Wi-Fi, if you will, our consciousness. Okay, And I promise that the homeopathic physician and I did not speak right before this talk and prepare this, but this is actually pretty interesting that she had a few slides on this, and I'm kind of going to do the Sanskrit version of it. So how many of you have heard of the word swastha? Of course, we have some Sanskrit experts here. So what does swastha mean to you? Anyone? Be healthy, yes. Anyone else? Health, yep. So that's actually what I thought it meant too. But when we went to India to do our Ayurvedic training, we actually learned the meaning of some Sanskrit words. And I'm sure our first speaker could explain this better than I can, but my understanding of the few Sanskrit words that I did learn and kind of gave me that aha moment, because so I went to medical school knowing I wanted to do integrative medicine, and I went through school forever and ever, right? My whole life I was in college, then med school, then residency, but I never really felt like I got the tools in either of my residencies to help truly heal patients. And I knew there was something missing. And so when I decided to go to India to do my Ayurvedic training, this is kind of when I had my aha moment, like this is the way, right? This is how I can truly help. So when I learned that swastha actually is composed of swa, which means myself or my true self, and stha, which means to be established or solid in, that's when I realized the real translation of swastha is not just health, but it's actually to be established or to be connected to your divine self. Good enough? Yes? Okay. So that is just so beautiful and so powerful, because I think when we define health, I went in thinking, I'm going to learn Ayurveda and I am going to learn the path towards perfect health. But what I learned was you really cannot have perfect health without having yoga, which is the path towards union and oneness and wholeness and connecting oneself to their higher self and to their consciousness. So then after that, I came back and became a yoga teacher. And my life led me to Penni. It was meant to be. So this is our Western picture of yoga. Most people think that yoga is good for stress and anxiety and mood. But in yoga, it actually has such a much deeper meaning. And when you look at the Sanskrit meaning of yoga, it's actually union of the mind, body, and spirit. And so that is our path towards oneness and connecting with our consciousness. So I have many patients of all walks of life, whether they're MS patients in wheelchairs or cancer patients with fatigue or pediatric patients with stress. And a lot of them come to me saying, well, Dr. V, I can't do yoga. I'm not a pretzel. I can't be that flexible. But one of the things I tell people is look at how we're born knowing how to do yoga intuitively, right? This is some of the most common asanas in yoga. And these are things kids do downward dog without even knowing it's downward dog, without being in front of a teacher. They learn this themselves, right? So, and I tell people, this is my favorite, by the way, balasana, just child's pose. But I tell people it doesn't matter how flexible you are. It's not about being a pretzel. It's really about that connection. And you can do it from a chair, you could do it from a wheelchair, you could do it from a bed. And we really, as hospitals, we can't afford to ignore the data on the benefits of yoga. There's medical benefits, I won't read all of them. They range from improving balance for our MS patients, improved immunity, improving insomnia, helping with relaxing the nervous system. And psychological benefits also range from improving and reducing anxiety and depression to improved resiliency. So we really can't ignore the clinical need for yoga in the medical setting. Over 60% of visits to healthcare providers are for stress and its manifestations. So we really have to look at the fact that our quote-unquote disease care system, there's something missing. And I think that piece that's missing is where integrative medicine in hospitals comes in. because we are addressing that missing piece of consciousness and connecting to one's true mind, body, spirit. And so we're already seeing the data, as Mr. Parker said, we need to look at the numbers, unfortunately, in hospitals, but we are seeing with integrative medicine, there's improvements in pain, anxiety, patient satisfaction scores, just to name a few. And of course, clinical outcomes. I mean, I can't tell you how many stage 4 cancer patients, I actually, when they start working with me, I don't expect anything more than a palliative, holistic approach, but they're coming to me like 2 years, 3 years later, and they say that yoga and meditation and all of these other tools have changed their life. So it really does change clinical course. So we know that patients get it. This is a survey from the NIH of the general population, and you could see that the rate of use of things like deep breathing, meditation, and yoga is rising. So it's about time hospitals get it too. So this is a study that the Bravewell Collaborative did in 2012. And as you can see, almost 62% of the top integrative centers around the country are utilizing yoga. And in terms of emerging norms of care in integrative medicine, some of the most widely used interventions across hospital-based integrative centers include things like food as medicine, but right under there are yoga, meditation, and massage and supplements. And look at how pharmaceuticals are slowly but surely being pushed to the bottom. So I promised Puneet that I wouldn't be too data heavy and study heavy in my talk, but I told him I had to include just one slide. This is a study that I invite you and welcome you to look up. It's done by Sarah Lazar. She's at Mass General, and I thought this was a groundbreaking pilot study. And basically what she did was she did functional MRIs on meditation-naive patients, and she taught them to, and she did a baseline functional MRI, then she taught them how to meditate for 8 weeks, and then she did another functional MRI on them afterwards. And what she found was that you actually change the structure of your brain in just 8 weeks with only meditation. And there's absolutely no medicine, no pharmaceutical in the world that can say that they can do this. And I think the only barrier from this being a blockbuster billion-dollar drug is that it takes 20 minutes a day. But I think we can't afford not to. So my personal opinion, and I believe the opinion of hospitals that are progressive, will be that hospitals can and should be both high-tech and high-touch. And so that is why the time is now. And my life was absolutely blessed when Kula for Karma entered my life. And I feel like it's been forever, but it's really been in just about a year we've changed our hospital system. And the woman behind it all are Jerry, the founder, and Penny, the executive director. And when I think of them, the quote that Margaret Mead once said was, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Penny and Jerry are a true testament to that. Kula for Karma has changed the lives of so many people. So let me tell you a brief story about how when I first met Penny and Jerry, they come into my office full of energy and they tell me about the amazing work they're doing at, these 20 other hospitals. And I'm sitting there taking a deep breath. I'm like, yeah, but my hospital will never, never, ever buy what Kula for Karma does. They're not going to invest in it. And they basically were like, look, Dr. V, you share this vision. All you need to do is pray for abundance. And that was her last words to me. When she walked out, she said, pray for abundance. And literally 3 months later, she calls me and she said, guess what? The prayers worked. And Penny single-handedly was able to get us this amazing grant from the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, where our hospital can truly, we're changing the culture from within. We're offering patients of 5 different patient populations free yoga classes. It's for people who would normally have not been able to afford yoga because of their medical issues debilitating their finances, or B, just would never have thought of it in their clinical course. So now we're treating patients with multiple sclerosis, cancer, cardiac disease. We're not forgetting physicians and nurses and healthcare providers who are experiencing burnout, as well as the caregivers of the patients. So we're offering a caregiver class, which is so important. And lastly, victims of domestic violence, to help empower them, to give them tools to move forward in their life. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Penni, who, as I told you, is Executive Director Extraordinaire of Kula for Karma. And they offer yoga to people challenged by illness, abuse, neglect, addiction, and many other life obstacles. She's completed her yoga training at Naturally Yoga. She's a licensed Kundalini Research Institute certified teacher, as well as a life force yoga practitioner. She is an expert at integrating the sacred sound, as we had discussed earlier, with movement. And she really encourages patients to open up from their heart chakra with their own inner song. She has an amazing CD, and she is just a phenomenal person. You can also see her teach at Kripalu, if any of you have been up there. She's an amazing workshop leader there. And I'm going to leave it to her now to talk a little bit more about Kula and what they do.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. V. Well, again, I know you're all hungry, so I'm going to keep my Kula comments to a minimum, and then we're going to offer you a kind of personal, interactive experience. Suffice to say that Dr. V mentioned disease care. She used those two words in a sentence together. And our hospital-based programs are called Kula Care. And what Kula means is community. So what we find happening, in particular, within all of the programs that we offer, but I see this more prominently in the context of the hospital-based programs, is that these patients that come together who share a diagnosis and learn how to begin the gentle practice of yoga, breathwork, and meditation form their own community. They have one another moving through their treatment and their recovery to lean on, to fall back on, to talk with, to cry with, to laugh with. And that has been, sort of the secret, wonderful surprise of what it is that we're able to offer. We work very hard to train our teachers to be able to feel the energy in the room, to predict what's going to work, what's not going to work. Keep in mind that we're often in a room of 12, 15, sometimes as many as 20 students, patients, all of whom are coming to the mat, so to speak, or the chair, with a different level of flexibility, different level of physical ability, and we work to provide a sense of feeling of success for each of the people that show up for our classes. And as so many of the other folks who have spoken before, Dr. V and I this morning, this idea of holding space for healing and our role as facilitators is huge. The ability to find the compassion, to recognize the other person as you, to see the divine in each and every person that comes to practice with us, for me has been an incredible, incredible opportunity and gift. And it's what I wake up for every morning, to think about how can I get this to more places? How can we expand our programs? What can we do? How do we build our army of peaceful warriors who are our devoted volunteer teachers, and keep a pace with the need, because the need and the demand is enormous. And I will be outside with Kula for Karma information afterwards, and welcome any and all questions that you might have. And so now we're going to turn this back over to Dr. V.
So here's just some visuals of the amazing work Penny and her team do with patients of all from all walks of life. Thought this one was particularly powerful. All right, so you can get more information from Penny outside or on her website, kulaforkarma.org. But as you can see, they have been able to reach many of the top New York and New Jersey hospitals already, as well as many other sites. So we invite you to just do a quick 4-minute meditation with us to experience your own connection with consciousness. 2 quotes that we wanted to conclude with are, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I think that resonates with many of us. And another beautiful one is that, and the day came when the risk of remaining tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And so today we invite you to blossom with a flowering heart meditation. So I'm going to guide you through it. If you guys need to stand up and stretch real quick before we start, just feel free to stretch. This is going to be 4 minutes where I guide you through a meditation, and Penny is going to help us connect with our divine with a chant.
I'm wondering if we could dim the lights a little bit.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Is there a way to dim the lights? Please? Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Enough stretching? All right. Okay. So please, I invite you to sit comfortably. Close your eyes. With the help of your breath, allow your body to relax as you sink deeper into your chair. Continue to release any tension in your body using your breath. As you relax, you will become aware of thoughts that cross your mind. Inevitably, there are gaps between these thoughts. Simply wait until a gap appears and fall gently into that gap. Find the stillness and surrender to the experience. If thoughts reappear, gently, without judgment, wait for the next gap and fall into that easily without effort. I will now give you a moment to enjoy that peace. Now, move your awareness to the heart area, to the center of your chest. Place your hands over your heart. See a beautiful flower which represents your heart. It might be a rose or a lotus whose exquisite petals are inviting. Imagine yourself very small and able to be a drop on the center of that flower. As you do so, feel yourself being enveloped by the soft, sensuous petals, absorbing the colors and the shades, and allowing yourself to be seduced by the fragrance of the flower. This is what it feels like to be embraced by your own heart, to be supported by its strength and compassion. Now see from the base of the flower, roots and stem winding down towards the earth seeking soil, in which the roots can find security and nourishment. Let those roots embed themselves in the warm, supportive earth and go deeper until those roots can find for themselves a substance that will support them. Know that within the earth are core values which make you strong, confident, and content. These may be the qualities of honesty, truth, compassion, integrity, and gratitude. As you become aware of which aspects nurture you, draw them up into the roots, then into the stem, and eventually up into the flower. As you do this, see how the flower changes when it is securely rooted and received nourishment. It becomes more open, more receptive. Now imagine the heart is a vessel of creativity where you can place anything you would like to come to fruition, such as a dream, a wish, or a desire. Place it in the center of your heart. Ready, take a deep breath, and on the out breath, breathe out hard into the heart, bringing the dream alive. And so it is. Now, in your own time, draw the petals of your heart closer together, knowing that the energy you have maintained and achieved in rooting yourself will always be there. And when you are ready to bring your awareness back into ordinary reality, slowly change your breathing pattern to lighten your consciousness, moving your hands and feet. And as you do so, when you are ready, open your eyes. Stretch. Namaste. And now there's nothing standing between you and those snacks.